And hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault and it's Adrian Chenault, and it is a great day in River City, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Good to see you, Adrian. I got to pick him up at his house today to bring him to work. So it reminded me of when he was a little tiny boy. And most of the time he's picking me up, and there's a reason for it. Yesterday I went to coffee with you and we got back in my car, and we noticed that I had not turned off the engine or taken it out of drive.
A little bit.
Yeah, so that was a bad start. So then from there, we went out with my wife last night, and we went to she put the gas in the car. I actually put the gas in the car, and I forgot to put the thing back in the pump, and we pulled that thing out of the wall. So I've had a rough couple days in the car, but I've got people like Adrian to take care of me. So John, you're safe if you ever come to visit me in Colorado. And today we got the one and only John.
We do. Before we get to John, I have to tell a quick story.
What?
Tom is one of the best, worst drivers I have ever met. And I think all of the you're not supposed to text or talk on the phone while driving laws mostly came from him. So I'm 15 years old. I'm learning how to drive. I have my learner's permit, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and he is driving like he is still a drunk, even though he is not. And I finally said, "Dad, can I drive so you'll pay attention?"
That's exactly right.
So
and that's
there you go.
That's been and now everybody drives me.
That's right.
I don't drive. Yeah. So one last thing before we get to my incredible buddy is the fact that I am now an Instagram influencer.
We got to get that in there early. Let's go.
So I fell asleep on my phone, John. And my son came in and videoed 11 seconds of me on my phone on TikTok with my nose having it on double. And right this second, I just looked. I am currently at 7,800,000 views. So wow. That's a ton. I mean,
that's impressive.
Well, you take a look at all the guys that are giving me advice, and they've never hit 5 million on their best day in their life, and they're all telling me how to do it. I'm going, I should be the one writing this book here, but instead I'm humbly asking for advice, because of that 7,800,000 people who have looked at it, a total of 0 have bought anything. And I've tried to sell them everything under the sun subliminally. And it just boils down to this. I am a network marketer, not an internet marketer. I suck, and I got lucky. And Adrian, let's get going on this show. So you people have got to read this book. It is incredible. It is called The Power of Influence. John wrote it. It came from his heart. There is a lot of beautiful, great stuff in here that I wish I would have said. So go buy this book for sure. It's terrific. And John, how you doing, buddy?
I'm feeling fantastic and super excited to be on the show with you guys.
Well, it's great to have you. And it's, I get up, I watch you like a hawk on social media, and I see all the great stuff you're doing trading stocks. And I know you for a long, long time. We had a friend in common named Bob Beitcher. He introduced me to you probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was, he was your biggest fan in the world. He still is. I talked to him before the show. He's probably going to come on if he can get off of his day job that he's had for 90 years as a pharmacist, and he's a hostage, but he may come on here. Whether or not he does, doesn't matter. What you did for him and for me when you were in Rexall many years ago was you reinvented everything, because you came out of a real blue collar job and a not big education to today you are a stock trader teaching stock trading and reading charts and all this stuff. And I just marvel at all the things that you have self-taught yourself and the level that you've done it. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think, part of that is it's something that you have to be interested in. I think trying to learn something you're not interested in would be really difficult, right? Because I've kind of got a short attention span. And when I first started looking at the charts and the day trading thing, I mean, honestly, I just thought there's no way I'll never understand that. I don't have the patience. I don't have the time. The platform that I was working with had this very unique kind of an entry level where it's called tap to trade, where you could you could do it with simply hitting a button, not understanding anything. But then you begin to see how it's starting to work. And then, of course, you get excited about something. Then you want to dive in a little bit deeper. And, so it kind of started out really slow for me. And then as I got excited about it, I just, dug in deeper. And now I trade every day. But I tell you, not just what I've learned on the platform has helped me, with the day trading. What it's done is it's also helped me in, because I've always been an investor, right? I mean, I've invested in stocks and I've invested in companies and, invested in things like that. But somebody else did it for me. They tell me about it. I say, sounds good. Let's buy some of that, right? But now that I understand the charts and trends and levels and, liquidity and all that type of stuff, now it's really helped. I do most of my own even retirement investing, right? And so instead of making that 6-8% a year, you can do that in a month, right? So it's exciting.
What's interesting to me about that and you is, number one, you have to be interested, but all of you, I think you need to be obsessed. I think interest is not enough. I think you got to get obsessed like he is. But what's clear about me and you and I and a lot of people over the last 2-3 years, maybe 5 years, have gotten put into some deals because somebody else was in the deal that said it was a great deal, and it turned out not being a good deal. And it turned out that we ended up on the radar of a few regulators because we get so excited about what we talk about. We end up telling people about it, and then they lose their money and they call back and say, I didn't want to buy that, but Tom Chenault talked me into doing it. And they call me on the phone and say, why'd you talk him into it? And I go, well, because this guy told me to buy it. Like, did you do any due diligence? And I go, of course not. I'm a network marketer. I don't have the brains God gave a crowbar. I basically listened to him. And they go, that doesn't count. You're in trouble. But now you're not that way, because not only have you mastered it, you've learned to teach it. And it isn't about rumor or innuendo or somebody else doing the due diligence. You're teaching people to make rational money decisions based on knowledge, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. It's a huge emotional game, right? And, as you talk about, because I really was just at the mercy of, we talk about the power of influence. Other people who influence you to maybe make a decision, such as the one you were maybe referring to, which was my biggest all-time loss, right? I put $600,000 of real money into that particular investment, which I believe you're referring to, completely knowing nothing, didn't even know how to set it up, didn't understand it. I didn't even know at that time gold was tradable like that. And seeing every morning these crazy returns coming in and just thinking, oh my God, this is unbelievable, to then never being able to withdraw anything and losing 600. The fortunate thing is I never told anyone about it. I told people about what was happening to me. I never got anyone involved in that. I just was doing it myself. But I could literally retire if I could have the money back that I lost.
But you ended up with your name.
I've tried.
But like me, you end up with your name in the paper. And all you were doing was getting excited. And that's what we do. And yeah, so I'm telling you, I love you. I have watched you since Rexall many years ago. And, basically, you didn't change companies over the years because you wanted to. Basically, you had to. They either went out of business or something. But I don't know a lot of people. I'm trying to think of even a couple who have actually done what you've done, where you restarted and went back to the top again through hard work and using your brain and not relying on anything else. That's been you, man. And I'm telling you, that is remarkable and admirable.
It is. And, I think one of the things that's really interesting, and you get into this in the book, and so I think it's a great tie-in, right, is when if your company went away tomorrow and there was some reason that said, John, you're not allowed to talk to anybody, like your network is erased. Not only did your company go under, but they canceled your Facebook account. You lost your Gmail that had all your contacts, and you had to join the witness protection program. We have dropped you off in anywhere USA. Nobody knows who you are, and you have to start over. You have picked up on things over the years where you you wouldn't be an overnight success, but you would know what to do and you would know how to go build the thing again, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, to that point, there's so much skepticism and negativity that surrounds the network marketing, industry. And, in my mind, it truly is the best profession out there, because it can take an average person like me, with no confidence, no self-esteem, and develop the skills, develop the skills, the understanding, the personal philosophy, the introduction to personal development. We talked about it briefly before the show, because you find these people that say they'll never get involved in that, or they've been involved and they swear it off. I truly believe anyone, regardless of what their success was, they grew as a person in some way. If they really reflect back on it, even if they didn't make money, maybe even if they lost some money, they got an education and they grew as a person by being involved in network marketing. I mean, it's I've heard the term before and I love it. And, we build people, not companies. That's what we're doing, is we're building people. We're not selling products. We're building people at the end of the day. And that's what's happened to me. Right. It's just I remember hearing a quote from actually it was Todd Smith, one of my mentors and still today, one of just an incredible individual. And he said once, wouldn't it be a shame for your check to grow and you didn't? Right. Yeah. And I love that quote, because that's what happens even recently in the networking space, because of becoming, a quick influencer or these overnight successes online, and they don't really know how they did it, but they haven't, backfilled with, doing the skills and all the activities and the things that we learned, slowly, right, by doing it. That makes sense.
It's 100% true. And Eric Worre, I think one time told a story from stage about Whitney husband. And that was her story, right? She kind of, I think the way he put it is, she caught a tiger by the tail and went, I've got this tiger, but I don't have any clue how I got it. And I better go figure out what actually just happened, so I can show other people how to do it. 'Cause otherwise I'm going to feel like a poser. And it takes great courage to admit when you got lucky, and then go backfill with the personal development and the skills. And that's a huge part of what you have learned how to do and learned how to teach others how to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, their luck definitely has a factor in it, right? But we've heard the term, the harder you work, the luckier you get. But it's the same notion. I mean, if you're in something that is completely messed up, and even if you're excellent at what you do, you might be able to, keep it going and do well. But your real success that feels great is when your people are doing well, right? Mm-hmm. I always say your check becomes permanent through the success of other people, right? But when it's pretty much just 100% relying on your personality, your drive that everybody's kind of hanging on to in there, but yet it's coming from their struggles, that's no fun, right? It's when you can have other people really thriving and having those life-changing experiences like this. I can't believe this is happening to me. I mean, that's when things are really, really fun. And so to that point, I think, everything in life comes down to decisions we make. I mean, I look back when, I was with NSA, right? And I have tremendous appreciation for that 4 years I spent there. I cut my teeth. I learned the fundamentals. And a lot of people, when things were falling apart, here they are today, known as Juice Plus, thriving, right? But back then, when they were falling apart and it was a mass exit and I didn't know what was going on, if I would have made, many of those people crashed and burned, talented people, more talented than I was, but I made a decision to go with a company called Rexall. It was just getting started, and that decision, brought me to another new level. But there were a lot of people, like I said, they went into another direction, and they crashed and burned, right? So yes, if you're in a company that's blowing up, that's growing, it magnifies and multiplies your efforts. And so I definitely think, the crazy success I've experienced in this industry comes from, yes, working hard, but I've made some really good decisions in choosing the right vehicle at the right time, if that makes sense.
Now, Jeff Roberti is still over at Juice Plus, and
yep.
He rode that season and never quit. And
Yeah.
inside of all that, there were massive problems when people bailed, and he chose to stay. What I respect that deeply. I'm one of those idiots that, in spite of everybody telling me to jump out, I stayed also. And watching you really navigate this thing, most of us guys with a check and a guy, I've got a check. I've had a check for many, many years. Thinking about walking away from that check, I think the company would have to they'd have to commit first degree murder to have me quit because I'm such a coward. And what I love about you and your skills, and pre-show we talked about your timing over the years has been exquisite when it was time to move to the next opportunity. But you didn't move with luck. You didn't move with inside deals. You moved with full belief in your skills and the profession that you can do this. And recently, a lot of people jumped out of the boat you're in, and you decided to pull a Roberti and say, you know what, you guys go have fun. The water's going to be a little deep and it's going to be a little cold and you're starting over. I think I'm just going to row this baby and see what happened. And so I'm just marveling at your wisdom and your foresight. And I just want you to know you've got my utmost respect, because I think that watching you, there's just no bullshit involved with you. You're just telling it like it is. It's hard work. It takes a long time. Nobody's going to do it for you. Jump in the boat with me and let's make something happen. That's kind of your philosophy, right? Without the profanity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you brought up Jeff Roberti, right? And Jeff Roberti is still one of my very favorite leaders ever in the industry. I learned so much from him, and the guy is just full of wisdom, but his courage to stay when, like you said, massive exit, right? And then you brought up the word, belief in my skills, but belief is when you lose belief, right, in what it is that you're doing. I mean, because people ask me all the time, John, what's the number one key to success? And I tell them it's belief, because people buy people. And I mean, every company has ups and downs. I get amused by people, especially if it's their very first experience and they're in at the right time and everything is going great, and they make the mistake of thinking this success that they're having is because of them, right? And it is partial, but it's also the environment they're in, right? And so, but when, so every company has its ups and downs, and you need to try to give every company the benefit of the doubt that they're going to make it through. But then there also comes a point where you do hit that point where you lose that belief. And when you lose that belief, that's when and there's no chance of you've given up for the most part. That's when you have to move on, in my opinion. Right. Yeah. So I've hit that point several times, and it's been I don't know if it's luck, wisdom, good fortune or whatever. It's I've made some good decisions in that area, but yeah, I'm dug in where I am, and we're gonna, we've had ups and downs and struggles, and I think we're back on the move.
Before we go any further, I just noticed somebody's on here and it's his birthday, so I want to make sure he sticks around. But the Fabio of network marketing, the one and only, one of the nicest guys in network marketing, Thomas Tidland. Happy birthday, buddy. We love you. We love your wife, Donna. We love you guys' commitment to the ANMP. And I have you in the same category as John, just a super, super solid human being that I truly love. I mean, I see you and I feel love for you, for what you've done, who you are as a human being, and for who you're helping in the world, especially letting people believe that this profession called network marketing, which is doing those fundamentals every day, nothing magic, just doing that every day, will never leave if we don't let it go away. And I love the stand, John, that you are every day, watching you trade, show your lifestyle instead of tell your lifestyle, and emphasizing that it's about the people and hard work. And that's how you win in life, even if the money hasn't shown up quite yet, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you have to, what's that old saying? It's hard to pay the price when the picture isn't clear, right? When you know, and you keep that, that picture in front of you or what you want. And as long as you believe in what it is you're doing, you'll eventually get there. Consistency. I think that's probably the thing I'm known most for with the people that work closely with me is, there's nothing fancy, but I do it every day, right? And if you're not consistent, you're starting over all the time. And that's probably where, I think one of my strongest, attributes is I just keep swinging the bat.
There you go. So the new book is called The Power of Influence. And where can people go and get this, John?
You can get it on Amazon. There is an audio version on Spotify, and of course, the Kindle version on Amazon as well. Nice. And if you do get the book, I would really, really appreciate it if you go leave me a review. Well, right? And I do think that the book is really, really well done. I really poured myself into it with all the lessons and the things that I've learned over the years.
That is so cool. And so I want to talk a little bit about that, right? What prompted you to why is this message so important right now? Because I believe that it is, but what really was the thing that compelled you that now is the time to get this out there in the world?
Well, I wanted something that would serve more than just the network marketing community. I wanted a broader reach, right? My other book, my first real book, The Right or Almost Right, I think is still a phenomenal book. And if you're in network marketing, definitely, I think you could, pick up a lot, but this book is for everyone. And the thing that, I don't think people realize is that every day we are being influenced, right? Or we are influencing others. I mean, and sometimes, and I got so many stories I share in the book of my own personal experiences of, influence, right? But you think about it as we grow up, even as a baby, we're being influenced, right? But the people that we hang around with, good people, bad people, it's all shaping us. It's building our character. It's basically influencing us to make decisions that are either good or bad, right? From the influences. And then I think the other thing I talk about in this book I talk about social media influence, and I talk about the different types of influences that you can, somebody can be in an influential position, because they come from a certain family, right? They may not be even a great person or have earned that influence, but they were given that influence because of, the family they come from. Or maybe they're given a title in a job, or, as an executive, and they've got influence, but yet did they earn it? So I'm talking about building true influence. I'm talking about the other influences, but how you can, I don't come from anything, right? But I built influence by being a person of my word. I built influence by being consistent. I built my influence by not, taking advantage of people or things of that nature. So I think it's something to, number one, understand. I talk about never underestimate the impact of every decision that we make, right? Regardless of how small or insignificant it is at the time that we think but it made a difference. All the way back to when I got invited. I'm working in a factory, making $9 an hour. A friend of mine invited me to his house to look at a water filter. I thought they wanted me to build a display or something, and there was a breakdown at the factory. I was, 2 hours late for the meeting, but I still went. Didn't want to go. I wanted to go home, but I made a decision to go, and that decision to go completely changed my life. And not just that, the compounding effect of that little decision that I made to go to that meeting that I was 2 hours late for because of the breakdown at the factory versus go home to my trailer house and, throw a pizza in the oven and have a beer. I went to that meeting. I didn't want to go, and it changed my life. But then the thousands of people whose lives changed because of that little decision that I made. So it's, I don't mean to ramble on here, but even when you're representing yourself from an influence standpoint, in this industry especially, when you're a leader or you're prospecting somebody or you're on stage, you're influencing, right? And if people are making decisions based on the information you're sharing. And so when you exaggerate or you are not telling the truth or whatever, you keep in mind, people make decisions based off of what you're talking about or what you're sharing and selling. And so they may not be able to make the right decision if you're not giving them solid, real the right information, if that makes sense. So I think there's a responsibility there when you're an influential person, that you need to remember that people are making decisions based off of what you're selling, talking about, pitching, or whatever.
That's exactly right.
And okay, so in your book, you also talked about appearance, and you had a pretty good example. Some guy walked into a meeting and he just looked terrible, and you just talked about somebody walking up to him, I think you, and said, "Hey man, you really don't look so good." And he goes, "Well, I'm a big, I'm this big shot." And John wrote, "Yeah, you're a big shot." So it's even more hard for me to understand how somebody that's such a big shot could make a decision to walk in here looking like a complete derelict. And I really like that, because that as I read it, it struck me, and I started watching you. And just watching how you carry yourself all the time, where you're exuding confidence, professionalism, and letting people realize there's a shot at that for themselves, because every one of us came from a past that was our past. It wasn't awesome. We didn't get in this business because we graduated from Harvard normally. It's because it was the last house on the block. We had no choice but to do well at it. Somebody in an AA meeting said this to me a couple of days ago that really, really caught hold. And it reminds me of network marketing, that learning network marketing truly is like taking 1 hour of worth of courses at a community college or a junior college. This is not going back to become anything. It's just get down there, learn how to talk to people, learn how to be consistent, and things are going to take care of themselves if you have a great mentor, which you need, whether it's outside of your company or outside of your upline, that's done it before. Watch their feet and do that. And that's why I love John, is because people could do that. And it takes me to another question for you, which is, I see you trading all day long. So that's one component of what you're doing. But what I don't see, and I believe to be true, is you're also training people to emulate that activity and do exactly what you're doing and get more people involved that way also.
Yes, I do for sure. I think, but it's really the platform itself where the education lies, right? I'm certainly no expert in the world of trading, and, but I've learned an awful lot. I think it's a lot to master it, but I can tell you this, and we talked briefly about this before. It's a life skill, right? And I don't think anyone would say that it's not a good idea to really understand money and understand a little bit about the market. And I think everybody would say, yeah, that would probably help me in life. Right. And so everybody's going to, go at a different pace and learn at a different speed. And so, like you said earlier too, about you really have to be obsessed with something to really excel. And I agree with that too. You can play around with something and have some fun and do well, pick up a few little, tips, or you can really embrace something and really try to master it. And that's what I'm trying to do. Right. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it.
Your ultimate goal. How old are you, John?
I am 61. I cannot even believe it.
I'm 74, you lunatic. Try believing that. So
I can tell you, it goes fast, doesn't it?
Oh, wait till you turn 70. I'm telling you, every possible piece of plumbing goes down the drain. It's a nightmare. I'm drooling on people. It's horrible. So poor Adrian. So at the end of the day, I'm asking you that because how long are you going to do this? How long are you going to work this hard until you make enough money to be able to step out of the game? Or do you think you'll ever just say that I've had enough, I've made enough, I'm going to go just smell the roses?
Well, I do love it. And so, I don't ever probably foresee retiring unless it's forced upon me by not being able to, physically do it or something like that. But, or I lose my mind or something like that. I don't know. But I think it's, obviously, you may do it at a different level, right? Where you're not like in the trenches and, doing calls every single day or whatever. You're doing more as more of kind of as an ambassador or as a bigger picture, maybe, right? Sharing the keys. I'm trying to do that with my books and my other things of that nature. But you bring up another thing too from that I thought about, because I can't believe I'm 61, but I feel fantastic. I'm back in the gym, because when we're running so hard, would like to do it, but we just don't do it. We make excuses of why not. I mean, I'm working out every single day. I got involved in these peptides and these injections and these biohacks to really, help in a lot of different ways. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping and doing everything I can to try to, stay sharp and healthy as long as possible, but staying, in it, in the game, right, I think is important, because, the road is better than the end.
That's well stated.
That's really, really well stated. And I, we've said this forever, right? Like, to think of you retiring, it's just never, it won't ever happen, because you are this thing, right? You are helping people. You are embodying that. And I think that's you too, John, of like, this is just like breathing and drinking water. And, you can't help but talk to people. You can't help but try to help them to improve their position and do the things that you do, because it's just become second nature to you. And, we go to a Rockies game, we go to a whatever, and, we're all sitting there, and, Tom's over there and he's made some new friend, and you're going, what the heck are you doing, man? But it's just, that's just the way that he's wired. And it's a beautiful thing, because it is work, but it doesn't seem to feel like work a lot of the time. And it just kind of happens, it doesn't ever go away. Right.
I think it's more fun now than it was in my 40s, 50s, and 60s, because there's a couple of reasons for it. I don't have an agenda, because I have enough, so it's just the joy of being able to give somebody something I've got, whether it's advice, wisdom, money, sobriety, spirituality. Somebody's always looking for something. And I know people that can help literally anybody. And my life's kind of given to that as a result of scraping it out so long in this industry. And I think you're the same way. And I love that about you. You posted something the other day that was talking about, what else would you do? I mean, if you had to go, if what you're doing, you got wiped out one more time, and finally you said, I've had enough, I'm going to go get a job, but here's the job I need that I want. I need to make at least $500,000 a year. I don't want a boss. I don't want a time clock. I don't want any responsibility. I don't want any of that stuff. I just want to be able to fire and make that kind of money. That job doesn't exist anywhere, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, as you're saying that, I would say I'd be looking for the best network marketing opportunity I could find and dig in and start to do it again.
You're right. That's the only place. No job. I mean, your education, you had a huge, huge job, but you didn't have time. I mean, that's why we're together, because it was ripping you off from your family. Beitcher was telling me about this pharmacist that, she had twins. They're a year old, and they won't let her go part-time. They said, you have to quit or stay full-time. And if you don't like that, just quit. And that's not fair to anybody. And what I love about this profession is it's mine to succeed or mine to fail. And that's beautiful. And that's you too. And if, the trading, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about that. Are you using a lot of AI there? And are you doing a lot of program training? Or are you doing a whole bunch of, I'm watching these charts and I'm making the decision to buy or sell? Are you getting some help, or are you doing it all by yourself?
I've tried the bots, I've used them, and the market and, the different variations and indicators and stuff, especially since Trump's been in office, is just so wild that I don't think there's a bot out there that can be consistent enough to, give you consistent wins. That ultimately you need to know it yourself, and you can use those things to help make those decisions. But at the end of the day, I think the ones that are most successful are the ones that are making the decision. They're using the tools, the indicators, and all the different the different techniques and philosophies that. Because everybody has like a set of rules. If they're the ones that are ultra successful in the trading space, they have a set of rules. And if they're following those rules and they still lose, it's when they go away from those rules where that's going to really end up coming back and haunting them, right? So, and I've had that lesson multiple times, that I've had to learn that lesson over and over and over again, right?
I think
So, I also want to say one other thing, Tom, just to your legacy, right? As it relates to just someone who just, I think back and I wonder, how do you do it where you stay in contact with people the way that you do? I mean, you're constantly not just making, having relationships, but you're nurturing those relationships, and the ability that you really do. I mean, you're just willing to help anyone. I mean, it's just something I just truly, I recognize, number one, but I appreciate and admire it as well. You're a person of massive influence.
And I've got the same discipline around that you have around your trading and your stock symbols and all that stuff. You've got to be consistent, and you've got to be disciplined, and you've got to do it every day, or it's going to eat you. And that's 100% true. And thank you for saying that. It is astounding to me that my secret weapon is so duplicatable and so easy. And it just stuns me that everybody doesn't understand. The more you reach out with a remember with people, all of a sudden they wake up and go, who would help me if the water got deep? It's that lunatic that keeps saying hi to me for no reason every 3 months. And that's worked out real well for me in my life, just like your trading discipline. And I had another thought about the way that you do your life, and I lost it. So what do you have? Sorry.
No, I think that's exactly it, right? I think for you, the thing that John talked earlier about, that the thing, what motivates you, what has made this trading thing something that is so easy might be the wrong word, right? But something that is so maintainable for you is that you have an interest, you have a passion. Doing it fuels you. And I think you've been able to cultivate that, right? Like doing what you do every day with reaching out to these people is not a chore for you.
No, it's a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gift. I love doing it. I know where I was as a stockbroker. I don't know that you guys all know this, but I was a monster stockbroker in the 80s, back before most of you were born. And one thing that I was real clear about watching the other guys in the bullpen was suckers buy stocks. And they would get so mesmerized by trading their own accounts, they wouldn't call out and open accounts and do all that jazz. And what I want to get everybody clear about is that you want to realize what you're up to. You want to realize why you're doing what you're doing. And if you got a system that works like John, I am going to tell you, he just said something that is so profound. Because have you heard about prediction trading? Do you know that yet? Do you know
prediction trading?
Yeah, like that Khaleesi where you could just bet on anything all the time. So I am an alcoholic and an addict. So I am addicted to everything. So there's something out there where you can go in and bet on literally anything.
Oh yeah, I have heard about that. Literally everything. Yes.
So I got in there, right? And so I throw five. They say open up the account with $100, but I'm like Donald Trump, so I throw 500 in it. And I said, okay, if I lose this $500, I will never do this again. Well, 5 minutes later, I'm out the 500 and pouring another 500 to it because I don't have any guide rails. And that's the same thing with trading. And if you do listen to John, you learn how to turn your brain off because it's going to get you, and you learn how to live inside of your rules because you never know which way those markets are going to go, up or down. And if you happen to be wrong, he builds the safety nets in order for you not to get wiped out like I got wiped out. And so if you do decide to do something with John or anything in that world, the biggest thing he said today was put in the rules so you don't get too carried away with your supposed intellect like I did, because it just cost me $1,000. It was so fast. I lost $1,000. I've only tried it one time because I realized, yeah, that's what it is, Carl. Khaleesi.
It's funny, when I first got into the trading, right, and I didn't understand it, right, and and it was actually just a little bit before the tap to trade thing, yes. And I would get up every morning at 5 a.m. and I would sit there, and they were texting me entry points, trading gold, and I would just have to copy and paste them into my. I didn't even know what they meant. I didn't understand stop loss. I didn't understand. Take profit. I didn't even understand, how much I was actually even wagering. I had $2,000 in the account. And in a matter of about 4 weeks, about a month, I turned that 2,000 into 7,000. And I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I mean, this is the easiest thing I've ever done. And I started to think I knew what I was doing. And then I started, thinking, I could make some decisions on my own. And I got in, there was one day I turned 2,000 into 7,000. And I got caught up in chasing this. And if this was a good entry, we hit stop loss, then it must even be a better entry now. In a matter of, minutes, I didn't even know what happened. I lost the whole 7,000, right? Course. That it took me a month, and literally in a matter of minutes, it just all disappeared for me, right? And so that was one of my first lessons, realize that you don't actually know what you're doing, right? So it's definitely exhilarating though.
On that Kalishi thing, I have to tell you guys, because this is how smart I am. I love sports. So I'm watching the live board over here, and it's got the scores. And I'm watching the Kalishi over here, and all the odds are working toward what my brain told me I wanted to do. And I didn't even look over there and realize there was a time lapse. I could have saved all the money, except I was so obsessed with that screen, I didn't look at that screen. It's horrible. So what I'm telling all of you is don't be me, because I don't know jack about anything. And John, we love you. We have had so much fun today because you are such a beast. How do people find you? John Belushi?
John Belushi. No. Okay.
It's what? Something
John Haremza.
You guys go there. Follow this guy because you're going to learn how to live your life with integrity. Go buy this book called The Power of Influence and just be your word. What you got out of this today was it will work out if you just be your word and can stay super consistent. And John, we absolutely love you. Thank you. Next week, it's Justin. No.
Next week, it is a surprise guest.
Oh, yeah. Good. Hopefully, Francois. This woman was
that's awesome.
I'm trying to get this woman named Francoise on. I think she's 90. And she lives in where?
Arizona.
No, other country.
Oh, Netherlands.
She lives in the Netherlands, and a soldier comes along and thinks she's beautiful, and he thinks she's beautiful. So he asked her for a date, and she said yes, only to find out he asked her to marry him, and she said yes. They got married and lived happily ever after. She is one of the most exciting, best people. She's written a book, and I'm trying to get her on next week. So that might be our guest. She hasn't told me yes yet. But all of you, no matter what, have the best day ever, right?
Absolutely. John, thanks so much, man. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And, love being on here today.
Okay, buddy. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.